Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material, your training manuals, your articles, your notes, and really get to the heart of what you need to know. Today, we are stepping into an area that, on the surface, sounds pretty mundane, but when you look at the numbers, it's one of the most lethal environments in industry. We're talking about confined spaces. Our mission here is, well, it's crucial. We need to break down the assumptions people have to really understand what makes a space confined. And believe me, it has nothing to do with size. And then get into the very strict mandatory safety systems that are there to prevent these incredibly fast and catastrophic incidents.
Yeah, and the sources are really clear on this. When something goes wrong in a confined space, it's not a slow burn accident, it's immediate. The victim is often incapacitated in seconds. And then, human nature kicks in, someone tries to help.
The would-be rescuer.
Exactly. They rush in without the right gear, and they become the second victim. An accident becomes a multi-fatality disaster in just a minute or two. The stakes are just fundamentally higher.
Okay, so let's start right there with the basic assumption. When you say confined space, I think everyone pictures a tight, cramped pipe or a tiny tank.
And that's the first thing we have to unlearn. The official definition, and this is pretty consistent everywhere, from the ILO to the UK's regulations, is very precise.
Okay.
A confined space is a place that is enclosed, or at least largely enclosed. ND. This is the key part. It has a reasonably foreseeable specified risk.
Specified risk. So if it's a huge open room with no specific risk, it's not a confined space.
Correct. It's not about feeling claustrophobic, it's about the type of danger present.
But hold on, if a space is huge, say a 1,000,000-liter water tank, why can't you just run away from the danger? Where's the confinement?
That's the perfect question, because confinement here isn't just about physical dimensions, it's about your ability to get in and out.
Access and egress.
Exactly. You could be in a tank the size of a small gym, but if the only way out is a little manway hatch 20 feet up a ladder and the atmosphere suddenly goes bad,
Your ability to escape is zero.
it's gone. The volume of the space is totally irrelevant when the air becomes unbreathable in 30 seconds.
Okay, so let's use those real-world examples from the sources. The giant water tank.
Right. It's huge, but it's connected to a water main. So the foreseeable risk is drowning from the liquid level rising unexpectedly. The hazard defines it, not the dimensions.
And the grain silo example is terrifying.
It is. You can walk around inside a massive silo, but grain, sugar, flour, they're what we call free-flowing solids. Sometimes they form a crust or a bridge on top.
So it looks solid.
It looks solid. A worker steps on it, the bridge collapses, and they're instantly buried and trapped. That's the specified risk.
So let's list them out, these 5 specified risks, the things that officially make a space confined.
Okay, so number 1 is serious injury from a fire or explosion. Pretty straightforward, flammable gas, a spark, and you've got a disaster.
Right.
Number 2 is loss of consciousness or asphyxiation from gas, fumes, vapor, or just a simple lack of oxygen. This is by far the most common killer. Third is drowning, like in the water tank example, an uncontrolled increase in liquid level. Fourth is that entrapment in a free-flowing solid we just talked about. Suffocating in grain, sand, sugar, cement, powder, you name it.
Yeah, the last one.
The fifth is losing consciousness from your body temperature getting too high. So, extreme heat stress. Think about welding inside a metal vessel in the middle of summer with no ventilation. Your body just shuts down.
So the common thread here, it's the speed. All 5 of these can knock you out or trap you in seconds.
That's the entire point. Self-rescue becomes impossible almost instantly. That's why the rules are so strict. It's all about the speed of incapacitation.
To really drive this home, the sources point to a specific case, the 2007 incident at the Cabin Creek Hydroelectric Plant in Colorado.
Yes. It's a truly harrowing case study. We're talking about a massive structure, a 466-meter-long penstock tunnel.
So a giant pipe for water.
A very, very long pipe. Contractors were inside relining it. They were using a flammable solvent to clean their equipment.
Uh-oh. Flammable solvent in an enclosed tube.
Exactly. The vapor built up and something, probably a static spark, ignited it. A flash fire erupted, trapping 5 of the 11 workers deep inside.
Blocking their only way out. But the initial fire didn't kill them.
No, and this is the part that's just so awful. For about 45 minutes, those 5 trapped workers were talking to rescuers on their radios.
Oh, wow.
They were alive, they were asking for help, but the atmosphere was turning toxic with smoke, the oxygen was gone, and the rescue team they couldn't get to them in time.
35 minutes. Knowing help is right there but can't reach you? That is a nightmare.
It's why I focus so much on the atmosphere. The structure is just the box. The air inside is the real killer.
So let's break that down. Normal air is what, 21% oxygen?
About 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, give or take. But in a confined space, that balance is incredibly fragile. The first big concern is oxygen deficiency or hypoxia.
When the level drops.
Right. At 19.5%, it's officially considered deficient. Get down to 16%, and your judgment is impaired. You feel sick. Below 14%, you just collapse.
And it can happen without you even realizing it. The example of rust was shocking.
Yeah, you put new steel into a sealed ship's hold, and the simple act of it oxidizing rusting can pull the oxygen level down below 17% in just a few hours. Silently.
And what about the opposite? Too much oxygen.
Oxygen enrichment. It won't hurt you to breathe it, but it makes everything else wildly dangerous.
How so?
At levels above, say, 23.5%, things ignite with barely any energy. They burn hotter, faster, more violently. Materials you think are fire-resistant can suddenly become incredibly flammable.
It just supercharges any potential fire risk.
Massively. Then you have the contaminants, the toxic gases like carbon monoxide or H2S hydrogen sulfide.
The rotten egg gas.
Right, but that smell is a trick. At low levels, you smell it. At lethal concentrations, it instantly deadens your sense of smell. You think it's gone away.
So your own body's warning system is turned against you.
Precisely. And even inert gases like argon or nitrogen, which are totally non-toxic, can kill you just by pushing all the oxygen out of the space. It's silent, it's fast, that's why you can't just test the air once, you have to monitor it continuously.
Okay, so with hazards that severe and that fast, you need an ironclad system. This brings us to the safe system of work.
The foundational rule. No one enters a confined space unless it's under a formal safe system of work. And the heart of that system is the permit to enter.
But the very first step, according to the sources, is to not go in at all.
Yes, avoidance is the best control. The first question in the hierarchy of controls is always, can we do this job from the outside?
Give me an example of that.
Sure. Instead of sending a person into a silo to chip away caked-on material, you could lower a remote-controlled mechanical whip to clean it from the top. Or use a camera-equipped robot to inspect a sewer line.
You engineer out the human entry.
You eliminate the risk entirely. But if you have to go in, that's when the permit to enter system kicks in with its mandatory steps. First up, isolation and lock-off.
Meaning you shut off everything that feeds into that space.
Everything. Every pipe, every electrical line, every hydraulic service. You have to lock them out so they can't be turned on by accident.
But how do you really trust that a valve is holding back, say, high-pressure steam?
You don't. You verify. For dangerous lines, you use a system called double block and bleed.
Okay, what's that?
It means you have two closed valves in a row. That's the double block. And in between them, you have a small open drain pipe, the bleed.
So if anything leaks past the first valve?
It just flows out the open drain. You can physically see that the isolation is working. If that bleed is dry, you know the space is safe. It's verifiable proof.
That's a clever system.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next after isolation?
Removal of residues. You have to clean out any sludge or deposits because if you start welding or cutting, that stuff can vaporize and release toxic fumes.
Then ventilation and testing.
Exactly. You purge the bad air and pump in fresh air. And you test. Before entry, during the work, or ideally, with continuous personal gas monitors that will alarm if anything changes.
The sources mention a specific limit for flammable gas, 25% of the LEL. What does that mean?
LEL is the lower explosive limit. It's the lowest concentration of a gas in the air that can actually explode. So the rule says you can't even be at 25% of that level.
You have a huge safety margin built in.
A massive buffer. In some high-risk industries, the limit is 0% LEL. No flammable gas, period.
And this all gets documented on the permit itself, which isn't just a piece of paper.
Not at all. It's a management control system with a life cycle. It's formally issued. It's received by the team. When the job is done, it's cleared and handed back. And then it's canceled, torn up. So no one can ever use an old, out-of-date permit.
It's all about accountability at every step.
Total accountability.
Let's shift to the people and the logistics. If something does go wrong, getting someone out seems like a nightmare.
It is. A healthy person might be able to climb a ladder out of a manhole. An unconscious person is a different story.
A stretcher won't fit through a manway.
Exactly. The rescue plan has to account for that. It might involve specialized harnesses, tripods, winches. In some cases, the plan might literally be, we will cut a hole in the side of the tank to get them out. And you have to have that plan before anyone goes in.
And you can never work alone.
Never. There must always be an attendant, a hole watch, or top man outside. Their only job is to monitor the people inside, stay in communication, and call for help.
And they can't just jump in and try to be a hero.
Absolutely not. They raise the alarm. That's their job. The rescue is for the trained and equipped rescue team.
Okay, let's talk equipment. The difference between a simple dust mask, a respirator, and a full-on breathing apparatus.
It's a life and death distinction. A respirator or a mask filters the air you're breathing. It offers zero protection if there isn't enough oxygen to begin with.
Right. It can't create oxygen.
It can't. If the atmosphere isn't certified as safe to breathe, you must use self-contained breathing apparatus, or BA, which means you're carrying your own supply of clean air.
And for getting people out.
A full-body harness and a retrieval line are mandatory.
Yeah.
And for any vertical entry deeper than 5 feet, you need a mechanical device, a winch or a tripod hoist.
You can't just rely on manpower to pull someone out.
You can't. An unconscious person is dead weight plus all their gear. It's not physically possible to do it safely by hand.
Finally, what about the worker themselves? It's not just about skill.
No, they have to be competent, which means trained, experienced, and medically fit. But the psychological aspect is also critical. If you're claustrophobic, you are not suitable for this work. The risk of panic in an emergency is just too high.
Which all leads back to that last line of defense, the emergency plan.
It has to be ready to go. The people, the BA sets, the resuscitators, all of it has to be right there at the job site, ready to deploy instantly.
And the training for that can't just be in a classroom.
No, you have to do drills. You have to physically practice using the equipment, hauling a dummy out of a real space. It needs to be muscle memory, not something you're trying to figure out while the clock is ticking.
So to wrap this all up, if there's one key takeaway, it's that confined space. It's not about size. It's about the potential for rapid, catastrophic change in the environment inside.
That's it perfectly. It's about the speed and severity of the hazards that are trapped in there with you.
And that really connects to a bigger idea about safety, doesn't it?
It does. We learned that relying on people to always follow the rules or always wear their PPE is, it's the least reliable type of safety control. It fails to danger. So it leaves you with a really important question for any organization. How far are you willing to go to engineer the hazard out completely to use that robot before you fall back on human controls like a permit system and a harness?
Where do you draw the line between eliminating the risk and just managing it? That's a powerful thought to end on. A huge thanks for supplying the material for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.